And now we're on Daf Sabach Gimel Amid Beis, and we're trying to figure out why a chola is considered a moredes. If it's merida mitashvish hamit, I can understand that she can still have to engage in tashvish hamit, and she refuses to do so. She's a moredes. If she's sick in bed, how could she be expected to do malacha, to run around and clean the house and iron the clothes and so forth and so on? Ella says the Gemara, we have to reformulate our understanding of this machlokas and focus on reinterpreting the shita of Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina. And that is mitashvish, if she refuses to have intimacy, kuli amalo pli having moredis. Even Rabbi Yossi will agree, and that's exactly why the Brisa establishes a chola is considered a moredes, because even though she's capable of having intimacy while she's laying in bed and she's ill, but nevertheless she refuses to do so, and therefore she's a moredis. And even Rabbi Yossi agrees that a moredis mitasha mit has the status of a moredis with all the repercussions and all the punitive measures. Ki pligi, what is at the heart of this machlokas? Mimalacha, if she's moredis and refuses to do malacha, mar savar mimalacha lo avi moredis. That doesn't get her that severe status of a moredis just because she refuses to do malacha. Malacha is not as essential to the marriage as tashvish hamita. Umarsa Rabbi Yossi is only opinion malacha nami avi moredis. Gufa, the Gemara says, let's bring a brisa about moredis. A moredis, Al-Baila says the brisa, pochas in lo miksubasa shiva din rishav shemidomer shiva taraf ikin. And now we have a third shita in the Tanoim quoted here in this brisa. Rabbi Seinu chazu v'nimnu. Chazu v'nimru is a phrase that repeats itself throughout Shas, and it means amidul minyan. Whenever there's a deliberation in the Bezdin or in Sanhedrin, and then at the end of the debate back and forth, they have to stand up and be counted and see where the majority lies. And a Baal is not mashosa lifchos miksubasa. We're not going to really impose, according to Rabbanan, these extreme measures of reducing her ksuv on a weekly basis, a small amount each week, but rather the takana was, we're going to embarrass her publicly as a moredis, and we're going to give her 4 such hachrazos, 4 such public announcements in the Beis HaKnesset. On 4 consecutive Shabbosos, we're going to announce publicly Plonis Bas Ploni, Marda Beploni Bala, Besholchin La Bezdin, and Bezdin will appoint agents that will come to her and say to Aviodas, you should know Shafiluk Subosech Me'amona, if Sadet, if you don't retract your ways, mend your ways, and terminate your merida after these 4 Shabbosos in which we publicly announce your merida, you will lose the entire ksuba. So on the one hand, there's no gradual reduction of her ksuba, but on the other hand, after 1 month, there's going to be a radical loss of the entire ksuba. Achasli, doesn't matter one bit whether it's an arusa refused to get married, an asua, and even a nida. Again, because of the svar that we said before, which Gemara is going to reiterate now, afilu chola, afilu shomer siyamam, who refuses to be misyamin. She is a moredes, and she will lose her ksuba. Amalei Rabbi Chiya bar Yosef l'shmuel nida bas tashvishi amalei eino domem mi sheyesh lo pas b'sala mi she'eino pas b'sala. Omar Rami bar Chama. Rami bar Chama wants to know exactly what this hachrazah, this public announcement, how does it take shape? Ein machrizim alel el b'votik v'siyos v'votik v'droshos. We don't have to go out to the streets and the marketplaces with a foghorn and announce Plonis Bas Ploni Marda B'Baila, but rather we do it in the shuls and in the houses of study. Omar Rava Daika Nami, I will be medayik to support Rami Bar Chama from the Brisa of the Ketani. It says in the Brisa, Arba Shabbosos Zu Acher Zu. If we were going to be announcing and humiliating her in the public fair, in the marketplace, then it wouldn't say Shabbosos. That would not be the right time to go out to the Rechovos and the Shvakim to make this announcement, but rather, when are the people gathering together on Shabbos, and where do they gather together? The Bati Knesias, Bati Midrashos. So the Achraza should be done in that public forum. Shmamino, we see from this price to support Rami Bar Chama. Rami Bar Chama, Pa'amayim Sholchem Lod Bi Bezdin. Twice we will send the Shluchei Bezdin to warn her that if she doesn't stop, then she'll lose her ksuba. Achas kodem achroza, the achas li achar achroza. We should sandwich the achroza on both sides, before and after the achroza, with the shluchei bezdin coming to warn her. Now, from the brisa, before this statement of Rami Bar Chama, we got the impression that only after the achroza, that's when we send out sequentially a shliach bezdin, shluchei bezdin to be modiel. Rami Bar Chama is now adding that even before the achroza, we should send to her these shluchim, because perhaps we could gain that these shluchim will implore her and influence her, impact on her, so that she'll be choseres, but she'll come back and accept the obligations that are incumbent upon her in the framework of marriage, and we won't have to go through that for us. We don't have to embarrass her publicly. Let's try to do whatever we can and maximize in order to avoid publicly humiliating her. Darish Rav Nachman Rav Chizda. Halacha k'Rabosenu. We're going to pass him like Rabosenu against the Mishnah. It means that the takana of the Mishnah was not widely accepted, but rather the Rabosenu were accepted. And that's going to be the 4 Shavvosos of Achroza, after which she is divorced without a ksuba. Amar Rava, Hai Burcha. This is not something that's appropriate. Because what you're going to do is you're going to impose upon her an immediate knas at the end of these 4 weeks, and she's going to lose her entire ksuba in one fell swoop. Why not do it gradually over the course of time and hope that at some point the punitive measures of her financial loss of the ksuba will kick in and will salvage the marriage? Amalei Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, my brucha say, why do you think that this is an inappropriate psak? Anam risa nile mishmei degavarabam risa nile. Rav Nachman had said this in the name of the greats. And who are the greats? Umanu, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chanina. So Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chanina, who was the expert and the final word in understanding how and what should be our response to the Moredes, he's the one who told us that Nimnu v'Gamru, and after 4 weeks she loses her entire ksuba. The Ihu, but what about Rava? Why was Rava so upset? And he said, Hi Burcha, this is hot air on this psak of Rabbi Seinu, because Kiman Savar, who does he hold like Rava? Again, he can't hold like Rav Yossi, Rav Chanina, who passed him halachic Rabbi Seinu. And the Gemara answers, Ki hadi ma Rava, Omer Rav Sheshes, halacha nimlachim ba. We should delay our get, and we should try as hard as we can to implore her and influence her to cease her merida. And therefore, on a weekly basis, we should reduce her ksuva by 7 dinrim, as the Mishnah said it. Rav Huna bar Yehuda Amar Rav Sheshes. However, in another tradition attributed to Rav Sheshes, and that is the tradition of Rav Huna, halacha ein nimlachim bo. We are always going to pass in like Rav Osenu We're going to do the akroza on 4 consecutive Shabbosos, and she's going to lose the entire ksuba in one fell swoop. The Gemara now clarifies. Hechi damya moredis. What is she exactly saying that the Mishnah applies to her the status of moredis? Now, let's just say by word of introduction, there are 2 ways of understanding a woman's refusal to have intimacy with her husband. She might be saying, right now, this is not appropriate for our marriage, and so forth. Or she might be saying that I find him repulsive. She says, I want to maintain my marriage relationship, but right now I want to be mitzayer him. She's probably taking revenge against something that he did to her. And therefore, on a temporary basis, she wants to withhold intimacy with him. And therefore, we're going to force her to terminate this merida. And we're going to take the various steps according to our Mishnah. We're going to read the Ksuba weekly according to the Rabbi Seinu. We're going to do it after 4 announcements of 4 Shabbosos, etc., etc. Avol, however, says Amema. Omra, she makes a declaration, Moesalai. He is repulsive to me. I don't want to have any relationship with him. Not him and not his ksuba. I don't want anything from him. Lo kaifinu. In that case, we're not going to try to extend the marriage by even a day, but rather immediately after she makes this declaration, she's going to be divorced without a ksuba. Because the words moesalai are so extreme that we are convinced that none of our methods will successfully bring her back to the marriage. She has passed the red line. Mar Zutra Amar Karfina, even if she says moesalai, I find him disgusting and repulsive, it's still possible that she will be choser ba and resume the marriage. And Haviyuta, there was a story. The Achpa Marzutra, the Achpa Marzutra went through all of the step-by-step processes, even though she had made the declaration Ma'asala, and they resumed the marriage. B'nafik minei, and as a result of the resumption of the marriage, they had a child by the name of Rav Chanina Misura, who was an Adam Gadol. And if she had not come back to the marriage, then such an Adam Gadol would not have come into this world. Now the Gemara rejects this veloi. That's not a proof. Hasam siyata d'shmaya ava. There was a special divine intervention, a siyua min hashamayim, such that they should have together this Adam Gadol, but we don't derive any conclusions from this story, from this Maisa. But rather, if a woman says Moesalai, once she declares Moesalai, we're not going to try to influence her to be kofar to resume the marriage, but rather she gets divorced immediately without exuba. Another story, Kalse Dirav Zvid Imrada, the daughter-in-law of who was married to the son of Rav Zvid, was a Moredes, and she declared Moisala. Havet Fisa Chad Shera. She was holding on in her hand to a garment, a coat that was made of silk that she had brought into the marriage as part of her nedunya. Yosef Amemar Marzutra Vashi, the Yosef of Gamda Gabayu. So there was an entire assembly of the great scholars of the time. The Ka'amri, they declared Marda Hifsida Blo Seha Kayomi. If she is a Moredes, then not only will she be losing her ksuba, the Mana Masayim, but in addition, she will have to forfeit her nidunya. Even the clothing, the wardrobe that she brought into her husband as part of her nidunya, of silk clothing, expensive clothing, and that's called Masechet barza, which means that they evaluate the begadim that she brought into the marriage, and in event that there's a divorce or she's widowed, she gets back that sum of money, and now her garments are still in existence. They were what you call blows. Like blows means that they're not fresh and new. They've obviously been worn down, worn out. But she still has these begadim, and she's going to now lose them and lose the value of these begadim of Masechet barza. And the reason for this is because she was a moredes and she declared moyes alive. And that was the unanimous view of three Amoraim, Amema, Marzucha, Rav Ashi. Amalahu Rav Gamda. However, Rav Gamda was there, he was present, and he made the following comment. He says, Mishum de Rav Zvid, Gavra Rabba, Machanifisule. Because Rav Zvid is such a great man, therefore you want to chan for him, you want to flatter him, right? This is the daughter-in-law of Rav Zvid. So you're so to speak taking Rav Zvid's part here, and you're saying that because his kala, his daughter-in-law, was a moredes, you want to be mafsid her, even possessions of Nidunya, even possessions that she brought into the marriage. That's against the halacha. Hamar of Kahana, mi boy Rava lo poshit. Rava vacillated about this question whether she should lose her blaos, her begadim, that she brought into the marriage, and he ends up with a suffix. He didn't come to any definite conclusion. And now you're saying bevados, without doubt, with all certainty, that she loses her blows. Rava had a doubt about it. Apparently, you're working on behalf of Rav Zvid. That's a very heavy accusation. Now, the reason why in a case of suffix she should not lose her blows is called tfisa. Tfisa means hamotzim mechavel raya. She has possession over the begadim, and the burden of proof now is on the Baal, which is the son of Rav Zvid in this case, to prove that we will be mafsid her the blows, the begadim, in the context of a moredes. Ika diamri. We have another version of this story. Yasve v'ka'amrei marda lo ifsida blosea kayom. Then on the contrary, the Amoraim paskin that even though she's a moredes and she will lose her ksuba, she doesn't lose the blows that she brought into the marriage as nidunya. Amlu Rav Gamda. Rav Gamda is now going to turn again to the three Amoraim, Meimar, Marzucha, Rav Ashi, and here we turn Daf Samach Daled. Yishum de Rav Zvid Gavarabahu of Chisu Leila Dina Ilove. He's a Gavarabba, and therefore you're going to turn the halacha against him, right? His kala was a moredes, and because you don't care about what Rav Zvid's feelings are going to be in this case, and you know that he's such a Gavarabba, he's not going to complain, he'll accept your psak, he's such an anav, he'll silently, he's shragged, he just doesn't say a word, and therefore you took advantage of the situation, and you paskin that she maintains possession over her blood of her blows. Lo see this blows here. Homer of Kahana, boy, Rava lo poshit. Rava had something about it, whether she should lose her blows. And therefore, hashta. Right? And so it's what you call it, boy blow if remains an outstanding suffix. How can you say that vados that she can maintain possession over her blows. So Tosas now is going to have a problem here. If it remains a suffix, then we should apply the principle of Motzi Mechad L'Raya, and she has a tfis on the blows. We can't remove her from the blows to be suffix. So why did the Gemara say, accusing these Amoraim of Paskining Shalom Kedin? So Tosas answers, Shahoyu Gam Od Shirayin No Safim Shilo Tafsa. The whole machlokus was about certain garments that were tfusim biyad baila. They were in the hands of the husband. And the psak was that everything remains hers, even that which is not tafas biyada, but rather is tafas biyado. And that's what the Gemara says. Why are you being matir the din against Reb Zvin? And the final conclusion of this sugya, hashd lo itmar lo hachi v'lo hachi. Now that we don't have a final conclusion, not this way, not that way, does she lose even a blood or blows in the context of Moredes? That which she's holding on to, we can't take away from her. Lo tafsa, that which is not in her tfisa. Lo yavinale, we're not going to give it to her. Umashinin le tresar yarchi shata gita. We're going to be masha 12 months before we give her the get, and maybe during that 12-month period, she'll be choseres bar, and she'll go back to live up to our commitments in marriage and resume the marriage, but not beyond 12 months. During the course of these 12 months that passed, lesla mizone mibaila. The husband does not have to support her. Okay, then this is where we'll stop for today with Omar Rav Tuvi Bar Kista. Wishing you a great day. Thank you so much.